from Texas, Mr. Babin, who is the sponsor of the E.L.D. Extension Act of 2017. It's recognized for 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure to be back in here. And I had recently, our office had sent a letter to the president asking for a delay for all sectors of the trucking industry until April the 1st. And since then, DOT has granted a waiver for 3 months to ag haulers and cattle haulers. And so I think that's proof that DOT certainly has the authority to grant a waiver to whomever they wish in this process. I'd like to hear from what each of you thinks. Would that be something that you would be in agreement that all sectors of our trucking industry should have a waiver of a temporary period of time, like the 3 months that the cattle and the ag haulers have?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think it's a laudable thing. I think that it actually needs to go farther than that, but any reprieve to work out some of these problems associated with it would be welcome.
I would agree, and that it does need to go further. And just a quick comment: if logs were the answer to safety, why does the government on FEMA loads throw them out the book, throw out the logbook for all the drivers if we're running FEMA loads? And there's 26 states still operating with all these trucks bringing emergency relief, fuel, propane. These guys are running way over their hours. It's not a problem. What happens if my customer has a problem with a plant shut down and I got to get something there so people won't be out of work? What's the difference between what the government allows and what our customers might need?
Right. And currently, APA members are granted a 14-hour hours of service waiver for an 11-day period over the 4th of July, busy 4th of July holiday. And any ELD use that we are mandated to use basically nullifies that waiver that they've already admitted that we have a very safe track record and have established that over at least a dozen or so years of a impeccable safety record associated with that time period that we celebrate and perform these displays that probably the nation's fireworks displays, 70% of all displays performed in that 2-week period.
I think your example of the relief that was given to the haulers, the livestock haulers, is evidence again that the federal government and the agency, Motor Carrier Safety, have recognized that there's some flaws in this whole thing. There needs to be time taken with a stay on the entire process and have industry work with the regulators to come up with common sense. One size does not fit all across the board.
Absolutely. And then, I'd also say to my colleagues that if a company likes their ELD, and there's a history of it, and some of these companies really do. But I've talked to far more of my constituents and also outside my district who drive that they have grave concerns about the unknowns and the question marks regarding it and just how safe it is. But if it saves the company money, if it actually does make the highway safer, and they found that each individual company finds that, then certainly I would. I'm not trying to abolish by any stretch of the imagination E.L.D'S. Keep using them. In the words of our previous administration, if you like your E.L.D., you can keep your E.L.D.